Howdy. Hey, Gizmodus. Guess who? Haven't seen you in a while. Guess who? American woman, right? Cheers, everybody. Welcome to another Saturday live stream, the TeleDynes. Sorry, I keep pushing this thing back and moving the times around on everybody. We had a last-minute show today up in Attleboro, Massachusetts area. It was at like a big ice cream shop. And it was their 95th anniversary. And yeah, it was cool. It was just an outdoor thing. We did a lot of like New Orleans type stuff. Had keys, sax, and me on guitar, and then bass and drums. Like a lot of Professor Longhair, Dr. John, the kind of stuff, and a lot of rumbas and stuff like that. Stuff like that. And it's always fun. And you can, solo over that the same way you do anything else. And be a little more sparse with it. It tends to work better, I think, anyway. And yeah, I tried had my it's my fourth gig this week too. So I haven't done that in a while. I haven't played like more than usually 1 gig a week lately. And now this all of a sudden, just I had Thursday, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Friday, and then 1 today that came up at the last minute, which is, great. It's, extra scratch, and it's always fun to play. And I broke out my Space Echo and had a ball. Yeah. So, let's see what else has been going on. So yeah, I haven't had a chance because of all these gigs coming up and everything else. We have gonna have a band rehearsal tomorrow. Haven't really had much of a chance to work on any new videos, but I've seen a couple of the comments that have come through. I haven't really even looked into any of the comments on the channel either, which I apologize for. I've just been crazy busy, but a lot of good. I saw a couple of good recommendations. So, yep, summertime. Summer. Yep, exactly. This is the busiest time of year. I mean, I used to live in Florida, and busy all year round for the most part. So there wasn't really much of a difference for me, but playing gigs didn't matter what time of year it was. It was a weather affected couple of things. Probably hurricanes affected more than anything else. But up here in New England, it gets cold, of course, in the winter, and the gigs kind of go away for after the holidays, usually right after New Year's Eve, and then January, February are just kind of dead. And then people slowly by St. Patty's Day, that's like the first gig, and then it's still kind of a little bit here and there, and it's not really until Memorial Weekend that everything kind of kicks off. And then right now it's kind of the peak of it, which of the Newport Folk Festival is going on right now down at Fort Adams. And that happens all weekend, so that's a huge time of year. And then next week is Jazz Fest weekend. Then it starts to then they've got like boat shows and regattas and all of these other things that happen as everything starts to slow down by the end of October. And then events, weddings, or whatever comes up. So that's kind of what's going on, and between that and work and all that, I've been trying to get to some more channel. I got a bunch of ideas, thanks to you guys, as well as just stuff I've had on the list to do. One of the recommendations was somebody recommended "Am I Blue" by Eddie Cochran. I totally forgot about that song, but that's got some great guitar riffs in it. That was one of the ones that was on that was a compilation disc on Rhino CDs that had like the legend of guitar players of the 1950s. I want to say that was one of the tunes that was on there. Totally forgot about that. So yeah, I'll definitely do that. Got Double Talkin' Baby. I probably will end up doing that actually anyway. The Stray Cats version. I was listening to both, like the Gene Vincent and the Stray Cats version, but the Stray Cats version's got more meat to it as far as the solos go, so it was more to really talk about, and the lick is a little bit more defined, you know. And Robert Gordon covered it too. That's right. Yep. I just noticed that, like on the original, where it's the drums are doing ba bop ba bop ba bop ba bop, so there's no, the guitar is not actually playing that in the original. Not that it really matters, but when you're playing this stuff live and you're trying to work it out with a band, a lot of the times, the more cues you can give each other, the better. It just kind of helps tighten everything up a little bit. But Robert Gordon one, I know he did it. I can't. It's been a while since I've listened to that. Red Cadillac, yeah, Red Cadillac and a Black Mustache. That's a good tune. We were gonna do that. We were actually gonna start cover that a while ago. I totally forgot. There's so many songs. I totally forgot about that one. Trying to remember the chords exactly, but yeah, great song, great suggestion. The next one I'm probably gonna do is "Good Rockin' Tonight," the Elvis thing. That one's fairly straightforward, easy to write the tabs out and get that done. The other video that I have about the licks, just the good rockabilly licks, it's done, it's edited. I just have to mix the audio for it and then do a couple little trims in the edit. That's pretty much done. Do the thumbnail and that should be ready. Should have been ready. It should have been out. I had it done already, but had all these crazy schedule this month. This is like I said, July, August, like the peak of all the craziness. It happened last year too, where I kind of mentioned in one of my videos. I think it was the Guitar Compare video where I said it was a busy time of year for gigs, and that was busy then. It's even busier this year. So, and knock on wood, the weather's been holding out for a lot of these. A lot of these gigs are outdoor shows, so it's sometimes they're weather dependent, and that can be tough. There was a gig we were playing a couple weeks ago, and it was just threatening to rain. It never quite rained, but we're right on the water, right in the bay and the ocean down by in Newport with the bridge and everything, and just at the end of the night, all the fog just rolled in, and so all of the gear, everything just got soaking wet. Just the speakers, the guitars, my guitar case was just sopping wet like a sponge, and I was just like, oh god. So I had towels and microfiber cloths and stuff. I cleaned it. Everything's fine, but it was just like you don't want to ever have to deal with that. And then I said, well, I have to put the guitar in the case, right? So I had no choice. So the minute I got home, I just took it out and dried it out and left the case open and let it dry. It's fine, but and I finally got around to finishing doing a fret dress on my blue, the hot rod. One thing at least for me, playing guitar, after it happened with this guitar. This one's had 2 fret dresses. They call it a G&P, a grind and polish, or a fret dress. That's the shop I worked in always called it a G&P. But anyway, what that is you're just straightening the neck, leveling the frets, recrowning them, sanding them down, smoothing them out, and all of that, just so you get get rid of all the little divots that happen from playing. Right. And up here, they tend to flatten out. The frets will flatten. Down here is where you'll get the divots too. If the nut, especially if you don't have a low action on the nut, you'll get more because you have to push harder. So it's always good to kind of get that nut action down as much as you possibly can. It's not easy to do because just a little bit too much and it can cause buzzing. But if you set the neck right, I've talked about this before. So. Hey, Richard. Yeah, doing pretty well. I didn't think I'd see you. No, I had made the stream a little bit later. I still wanted to do it because I was going to push it off to tomorrow, but something else has come up, so I can't really go. I can't do it tomorrow, but so I'm glad to see you. Thank you for joining. The stainless? No. I use the whatever. I forget what these are. These are like not jumbo, but they're medium large, whatever rock frets on this one. On this one anyway. The other one, I don't know whatever Gretsch stock uses on that one. This one's been refretted once. The other one, I haven't had it long enough to refret, and the black one I haven't played that much. The Phoenix I haven't really played as much, and I think I may have done a fret dress on it or G&P years ago, but it's almost to the point where it needs it, but I don't play it that often. So, and the action on that thing is so low. Everybody that plays that Phoenix always says it's like a fretless wonder. And it's great. It plays really great. It's amazing how low I can get the action, below 230 seconds, if you can believe it. Yeah, they do make stainless frets that'll last forever. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that. I have a buddy of mine that did that to his telly, the vintage telly. He put a stainless steel frets, and I've been thinking about that. Some people say it makes the guitar sound too bright. It sounded good to me when he played it. A gold fret, yeah, I've seen those. I've seen the gold frets. I've never used them or played a guitar with it. I didn't realize that they were even longer lasting. I mean, if you play a lot, you know. If you don't play all the time, I mean, I play like 2 or 3 gigs a week, and I got the blue one in August of 18, and so it was just this week I finally got around to doing the fret dress, and I've been thinking about doing the stainless steel frets. I guess if somebody sets it up and it's straight and the neck is good, my only concern would be if the neck starts to twist. Is that going to cause a problem with the if you get like a raised fret or something that can happen with regular frets? Can you plane that down with stainless steel? I would imagine you should be able to. It just might take a little bit more effort. And I don't mind having a little bit of a brighter sound. I'm not quite ready for a refret on anything yet. So, but as soon as I am, probably this one first. And since I don't really play this one live anymore anyway, it needs some electronic work and everything. Oh, you can put it down. Okay. Well, I might just put the stainless steel frets on this one then. That way I don't have to worry about, because after a while you can only do so many refrets and then you start running out of wood. I guess if you don't plane the neck down. I got to say the Gretches are pretty good when it comes to having good, like straight necks. And, yeah, that's what everybody said. Yeah, it's not that much brighter, right? That's what I heard. The guy, when my buddy was playing the telly, it was like, it sounds good to me. It played well. I mean, I just kind of, just held it and played it a little bit, and it played great, and it sounded fine. So, yeah, I might do that with this guy, and that should then it'll last for the forever. Won't even have to worry about it. Although but the blue one still got at least another fret dress in it before I even have to think about that. So it's another good 5 years before I even have to think about putting stainless steel frets in. Other than that, let's see. Still working on the new album. Again, everything's kind of been just little bits and pieces here and there, and I'll finally be able to get to finishing it up. We still had a couple more tunes to write to get the rest of the songs done. I wanted to try to do 14 on this CD. Our last album had 10, and I think 14 is a little bit better rounded. More of a, that's still only what, like half hour worth of music. With these rockabilly songs, they're like what, 2 minutes and change. I think my longest song is maybe 4 minutes. So that's about average. Trying to see what some of the other requests that people had. There was two. Somebody requested 2 songs, and I apologize. I haven't been able to get back to anybody on the comments. It's just been, like I said, crazy hectic on all of that, and with all the shows and everything. But slowly we'll get back to it, and I'll always keep the live stream going no matter what, at least one of the days. And I did post last week, I mentioned it, where you can go, the link is in the description box. You can check the calendar of where the live stream is going to be if I've moved it around. So I try to shoot for 4 on Saturday, but it might be earlier, might be later, might be moved to a different day. That will depend, but I try to keep it consistent, and yeah, it just goes right to a Google Calendar, and you can see it. And if something comes up and I have to change it, I change that. Plus, I'll post for it, and also do the premiere that day. I don't know if it helps to do the premiere like earlier in the week. Right, lately I've just been putting it like the day of. I've noticed that's kind of what other people do as well. Before they have a live stream, it just pops up, and it's just that earlier that day. Let's see. Let's see something musical. My playing is going to be limited today because after 4 gigs, I'm not used to it. My fingers are a little, hence the title of the stream, a little on the sore side today, especially for bends. It's not bad if I'm just playing individual notes. So the solos didn't really do too many bends today. Yeah, life of a rock star. At least I can pretend, right? Yeah, it's like the working musician thing, but it's just getting used to it. I used to play 12 gigs or 8 gigs a week or whatever for on upright bass, and that was brutal. I'd have to tape my hands and everything else, but yeah, guitar's different. It's just a little that I could play another gig if I had to. Bobby Fuller 4. That's what. Right? Not really much of a solo there. Something like that. It's been a while since I've heard it. That's fine. That doesn't really bother me. But part of it is the humidity or the dew point, I guess, in the air. Playing on the water, which of course summer, that's when you're usually playing, is on the beach areas. If you live in a coastal town, the nice thing is that you usually have a lot of gigs. But the disadvantage, the thing is that, not disadvantage, the downside is that it everything's humid and there's just so much water in the air that like everything gets just soaked with everything else, and of course your calluses get softened, and as you start to play, and that it doesn't lend itself very well for stamina over the course of a week. So I played Thursday at a place called the Ocean Mist down in the southern tip of Rhode Island, called Matunic, and that's a great venue. Big open, kind of like, it's almost like a rustic beach shack, but pretty decent size. And it was just humid and hot in there, so that will soften up your calluses. And then if you have to go you play again the next day, you're gonna feel it. Yeah, I used to do that. I used to play 6 to 8, 9 hours a day when I was younger, and you do that a couple times, you get used to it. But if you stop, even for a couple of days, you'll you'll have to build it back up again. Yep. After, yeah, even after playing for 20 some years, it's still, your fingers will still let you know. Like I said, a lot of it depends on the environment. If you're in a if the weather's good and it's dry out, or you're playing inside or whatever, it'd probably be fine. But if I hadn't played in that humid environment for the very first gig, I probably would have been okay. And then the next day I had to play, and in the was at night. The Thursday was a night gig, night, like late evening, 7 to 10, and then I played. The next day was like 2 to 5 or something, and then I had a double. So then I played later. I played 10 to 1 at night. So last night, and then today, last minute, I found out about it yesterday. I played 1 to 4, but it was all just stuff following along to 1 4 5 things with, 2 5 1 progressions, 6 2 5 1s, 1 4 5s, 12 bar solos, and things like that. So nothing too crazy. As far as the humid conditions for these, I haven't had much of a problem. It's really the dryness in this wintertime is what you really have to worry about. The humidity is, the guitars like it as long as it's not too much. Um, because in the wintertime I have to humidify this room, or put the guitars in a case with one of those tube humidifiers, or you can get a sponge and put it in a plastic bag. If you ever have a guitar that's dried out too much, or before you start like adjusting your neck, if your guitar has been sitting and it's dry, cold, and everything, before you start making neck adjustments, humidify the guitar first. Try for at least 24 to 48 hours. You can just get for something like this, like an arc top, I would um, just get like a plastic, like a Ziploc bag, punch some holes in it, get a sponge, wring it out, put it in there, put it over like where the headstock is, or right under the heel of the guitar in the case. Put it in the case, seal it in the case for about, like I said, 24 to 48 hours, and then check the neck. and then see if the neck has popped back up again, because that's probably what will happen. Same with acoustics. I would what you do is the same thing with a sponge. Put the sponge in the sound hole, and then wrap the body of the guitar in a garbage bag, and put that in the case. Close the case. Wait, especially if you see the bridge coming up a little bit, or the neck is a little bent, or bowed a little bit, or if God forbid you start to see any cracking, just humidifying it can help that. Yeah, that was always if there was a crack in an acoustic guitar, what we would do at the shop is just humidify it first, maximum for a week. If you basically you keep doing it. Check the sponge in 24 hours, see if it's dry. If you check it, leave it for another 24 hours. If the sponge is dry, that means it still needs more humidification. So do it again, and then keep going basically until the sponge stays damp for a good 24 to 48 hours. Then you usually that will seal most cracks, and that's when you would take cleats and put these little cleats under the body of the guitar on each end of where the crack is underneath, to stop it from cracking further. Oh, one of those baby Taylors. Those are cool. Yeah, so that's what I would do for that. But they also make these little, I don't have one here, but they make these, they almost look like flutes. They're these little long tubes with holes throughout the 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 latex, and inside is a long sponge, and you just kind of, wet the sponge and twist it, and then you can put that kind of goes inside the F hole, and it's got a stopper usually on the end of it, and it keeps it in the guitar, and you can use that to humidify these guitars. Those are usually used by jazz guys, um, for the big arc tops and things like that. But they're great for Gretches as well, and upright basses. Um, put those in the F holes, and they keep it nice and humidified. Yeah, because especially up here in the wintertime, if you don't do that, I ran into it a lot at the shop. That would be the biggest thing in the spring, was like people are bringing their guitars in because they're either got cracked, or they would be out of, the necks would be out, and either the necks would start popping up. But if you adjust the neck in the wintertime and you bring it back, then it starts getting humidified. When things start to warm up, the neck starts to pop up, and then boom, then you got to twist it back again. And if you know what you're doing, you can, then it doesn't really matter. But knock on wood, the Gretches have been great. I haven't had to really adjust the neck on any of my Gretches in a while. The last one I did was, I think it was the blue one several years ago. They're really good, um, for the quality of their necks. The wood that they get, um, the jazz one, everything's still in its case right now. The jazz guitar, I haven't had to adjust that at all. It stayed straight since I bought it. And I've had that guitar for, oh geez, over 10 years now. And they're relatively easy to do. Another little tip, I can I now that I yeah, the new ones are great all around. Electronics, frets, the whole, yeah, yeah, the Gretsch. Um, if you have a Tele, or a Strat, I guess, and you happen to have one of the guitars where the truss rod is under here, and you can't get to it, a trick you can do is keep the strings on, turn the guitar over, flatten it down, keep pressure on it. There's the back, you'll have a back plate with 4 screws. Hold pressure down, and take each screw out. Usually go at it like a crisscross it, so you're taking the pressure off equally with the screws. Take the plate off while you're keeping the pressure down, and then slowly lift up, and the tension of the strings will pop the body and the neck up like this. Oh, and then you can just take the move the neck and make your adjustment. Put it back down, put it in there, push it back down, hold it, put the screws back in, and that way you don't have to take all the strings off and, tighten them back up again and everything else to readjust the neck on there. And you can also, if you ever have a problem, you can't quite get the action low enough. Covered by CQ. Hi, how you doing? Thanks for joining. Yeah, if you can't get the action quite low enough on a Strat or a Tele with a bolt on, and this applies to any bolt on neck, not just the ones with the truss rods on that side. What you can do is, if you got the neck straight, you got the bridge load, it's still too high. Because sometimes I had to do that with my Tele, because it's kind of a Frankenstein, so I didn't really get, it's a retrofitted neck. I just, replaced it. You do that same trick, pop the neck off, and take a pick, just a medium fender pick, and just put it on the bottom underneath the neck, and then push the neck back down, and that will just give it just enough of a height to raise that neck up and get that action low. And then you can have more adjustments and raise the saddle pieces higher and possibly do that. So I would definitely don't do any of that stuff before you mess with the nut, because you can fix it. You can fix the nut. If you happen to carve the nut down too low, you can still fix it. You don't have to get a whole new nut. But and if I don't know if I've ever talked about, I think I made a little short on that. But you take the string, keep the string to tension, take the string off, put some baking soda in there, put the string back on to pack the baking soda in there, and then take the string back off and take a really thin number 10 super glue and put it in there. Use some accelerator, dries the glue really quick, and then you can and then it's like having a new nut slot. You can just file that back down like you would if the nut was new, and that lasts for a long time. That way, if you happen to carve the nut slots down a little bit too much, or it just happens and it wears over time, you can always just fix that without having to go get a whole new nut. I'd have to say this guitar has probably given me the most trouble out of all of them. And this is the pre-Fender one, so go figure. What if I am a nut? Well, musicians, we're all a little nuts. But I've always liked the way this one played. I think it does need a refret sooner than later. Like I said, some electronic work. It sounds good in the computer. But when trying to play it live with the guitar, I don't, or the amp, it just plenty of sustain. But when I go to play live, it just dies away for some reason. I don't know why. Yes, Good Rockin' Tonight is my next tutorial video. Yeah, they were all probably mad. This is one of the early Setzer ones. It's the first. It's a 99, but it's still part of that first when they were making the first design, that first model. I remember the first one I played was the lime green, or not lime green. It was like that dark green, looked like split pea soup or something. same thing like this. I remember being very impressed with it. But, yeah, the smoke for sure. That's the next one for me. Retire this one, get the smoke. Yeah, the first generation, exactly. Yeah. And the worst thing they did was they put graphite nuts on them, which sounds like a good idea in theory, but I've said that before, where it just your strings just become a saw blade, and your strings are flat against the fretboard within a few months of playing. And I noticed it. Even Setzer played those for a little bit during those first the early days, and then when he did bring them back out again, I noticed that the nuts were changed back to bone. I did that. I had the guy, a guitar tech, change it once. This was before I knew what I was doing and knew how to do stuff myself. But I had him put the graphite nut on again, and then it wore out again in like 3 months, 6 months, or something like that. So I said, just put a bone nut on there, and it's been fine ever. And it's the same. No, I've had the nut replaced once after that, I think. Yeah, I've had that replaced. I've had the whole saddle replaced. I've had the pickups kind of raised and moved around. I've had the switch has been replaced. The jack's been replaced. Everything's pretty much been replaced at some point or another. For the most part, I do my own fretwork. I don't do refrets or anything like that. I can do that on a telly, or if the neck is straight already. If I don't have to plane the neck, then I can do it. But it's a good 24 to 48 hour process, so I'd much rather just take it to someone else. You have to have a decent spot. If the neck is twisted, and this one's like I said, they're all pretty good. If any neck's going to be twisted, it's going to be this one. And you could run the risk of like planing the neck down. You'd have to do the pearl inlays, and it's just a lot. Redo all that. It's just a lot of work. I'd rather just have somebody else do it. But other than that, yeah, I don't have a neck jig either, so that's preferable. So that way you can simulate string tension when you're planing the neck down. But for all the other work, yeah, the electronics, all that stuff, I usually take care of all of that. I prefer the ebony fingerboards to rosewood, or I like maple on the tellies, but I just don't like rosewood. Yeah, doing the neck was really straight for the blue one, so doing the fret dress, that only took me about 2 hours to go from scratch, taking the strings off completely, redoing everything, restringing it, to intonation, all of that. That wasn't too bad. I have written all the tracks for the new album. So it's about a little less than half recorded. It was about half recorded, and then one of the songs, going back and listening to, I just said it needs to be redone. It's just a little too fast for my taste. But other than that, then we just got to redo that one, and then record the next 7 tunes, and then we'll or 8 tunes rather now, and then usually we're pretty good about that. Usually 2 to 3 takes in a song. We all listen to the demos. I make the demos like I make the backing tracks for the videos, and then everybody listens to them, and then we practice, rehearse them, try to play them live a couple times if we can, and then go in the studio and knock them out. And usually, like I said, and about 2 to 3 takes, and it's usually the second take that ends up being the one we choose. We'll have one. The first take will be kind of a warm up. The second one's good. Third one's like a safety. And one song we did for the other album took us I want to say six or seven takes, and we finally got it because it was a weird structure. Suffice it to say, we don't actually play that one live. King wood fretboard, nice. I'm not familiar with that, but I know you showed me that site a couple months ago, and that was cool. So I'm sure if I were to build something, I'd probably do the same thing. I always wanted to, but closest I've gotten is that the telly that I have. But it's just like you said, too much work is too much work. Oh, it's harder than ebony. Oh, cool. I'll have to try. I'll have to look into that. And Guild, a buddy of mine has a Guild acoustic, and it's ash and with a ebony fingerboard. That's really nice. They made some good acoustics. I want to say it was a Rhode Island-based company, Guild. Yeah. I mean, it would be something to like have as a project down the road. And I would probably want to do something like this. I'd want to do a hollow body. And that site, they have all the bodies there anyway. So just to build a nice jazz box. Nice big, like almost like kind of like a Super 400 is where I would probably go with it. Oh, cool. Yeah, sure. Go ahead and send it. If it doesn't come through on the chat, for some reason links haven't been coming through, you can always just leave a comment or send an email or whatever, and any other way to get in touch. The beer is good. It's a Founders All Day IPA. And I'm out of fuel. Yeah, Telly I could probably do with very little effort. But a jazz box would take a little bit of time. But it'd be nice to have a nice big humbuckers in there and Seymour Duncans or something. And just it's really I can't do the paint job or any of that stuff, so I'd have to have somebody else take care of all that. It has been a long week. Kind of chilling out here, play a little bit, much more than my fingers can handle. A little bit of rehearsal tomorrow, but we're just going over a couple of new tunes, adding to the set list, and of course the new originals to eventually get ready for the studio. But I want to get the songs down fairly tight before we book anything studio wise. Well, let's see. Been rocking tonight. Oh, they will paint it. Oh, awesome. I'll have to go over and see what Scotty Moore's playing on that beginning. The way I always played it live was just kind of... And then, of course, the solo is really the core of what we're really trying to get to, right, on most of the stuff, because it just has that weird long 5 or jump to the 5 real quick. And it stops. There's good rockin' tonight, right? And if I remember right. That's why I always played it. So I'll go through over the Scotty Moore version. And then, of course, there's the second part of the solo. I think the second solo goes backwards, right? Trying to remember how it ends. Does it fade out? I can't remember. No, I didn't get a link that came through. It might be on the, or at least it doesn't come through what I'm looking at. Let me see if I can. See if I can find it here. Oh, right. Ah, okay. Well, now I see that. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Got it. There it is. I'll show you that I got it. There you go. I got it. I think I've ever. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Appreciate that. Um. Yeah, I like all the. I mean, of course, I love all the Sun stuff. Yeah, Am I Blue by Eddie Cochran is another one that's coming out. I'll do that. Like I said, Double Talking Baby at some point. That one's just going to take a little bit longer because even though the core of the song isn't, there's not much to it. Um, it's just it's got a Double Talking's like, which I did that right, but and then the verses are right, and then it just repeats, and then the solo is just a 12 bar, not much, and then just going through each of the solos, and I want to say it goes around longer for each one. Like it's an extra time around. No, there really isn't much effort to it. It's mostly the soloing. It's the guitar, yeah, 3 chords and out. It's mostly the soloing. Like if you want to get something note for note, like that's where the challenge comes into it. The playing the chord structure isn't really much going on. But yeah, just little. I mean, you hear a lot of the same type of techniques all the time. You'll see stuff like this. Which I actually go over in one of the videos that's coming out. It's a great little lick to just kind of throw out when, you know, you're playing on the one. It's coming out. You want to sound really cool for a second. They do get sloppy, yes. Sloppabilly. Especially the endings. A lot of the endings on the older stuff, they just kind of like fall apart a lot of the times. But sometimes that's part of the charm, you know. Yeah, you can definitely do some great stuff. I mean, you can, you know, throw in all different kinds of modes and scales and blues scale, pentatonic, major, minor pentatonic, whatever you want to do. Major scale lines with like passing notes, and that's always a go-to riff for me. Something like that. Yeah. It's, yeah, pretty much. I mean, all these, well, even the surf stuff. Right. I don't want to play too much of that melody and get copyright. And then you'll get the 3 chord, right? The bridge. You'll get that, right? Just, yeah, almost every Ventures tune. not really, but they'll either do that or they'll do like 3-2-5-1 or 6-2-5-1, like. But that same motion, that same pattern or progression, or however you want to look at it, is so many songs. Which is the same as Hit the Road Jack, and of course Stray Cats Strut, Summertime, and The Living's Easy. Same thing. So it's, and like I said, Walk Don't Run. You see that so many. It's just a standard progression that people play off of and write songs off of. But yeah, the Pipeline does that, and then it goes back up. Finally goes there. Runaway too. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, when you play enough songs, you start, oh, it's one of those, it's one of those, it's one of those, it's one of those. And you just get used to the patterns and the progressions. And most of every song is just a verse over a 1, a 4, maybe a 3 or something like that occasionally. And then you'll know what you got to know what your turnaround is: 2-5-1, 6-2-5-1, 3-2-5-1. And I've talked about stuff like that where you can have the tritone substitutions that you'll see you get thrown in there if you want to make it a little more interesting. And those are great little passing tones. So if you're going, subtle, a little tritone passing to the 4. I have these custom picks. They're basically just Fender mediums. I use the same thing as that. This I want to say it's like 60 millimeter or whatever it is, whatever the medium pick is. I use this company. What are they called? Also not it. I got to order more too, so I might as well look. Oh, it's called InTuneGuitarPicks.com. InTuneGP.com. They're great. They've you can get like two huge bags of full of picks, and fairly reasonable. I can't remember exactly what it was, and you can get your own logos printed on them. So that's what I did. I put the little. It's hard to. I don't know if the camera will focus on it, but probably not. You can kind of see it. TeleDynes on there, and then I just put the website on the back, and you know that's been what I've been doing. All of it, how the songs come to mind, all of it, whatever happens. Sometimes it's just a riff, sometimes it's just a sometimes I'm playing around and I go, oh, that's a cool riff. Let me see if I can write a song around it. Most of the time I get like a like a like a riff idea or a melodic idea. Sometimes it'll be a horn line idea. And just coming up with a groove, and then whatever. And the subject matter and the lyrics usually come later, but sometimes it comes together. The I have an idea of what I want. It all kind of comes together right away. It's always different. I've always heard the best way for like it's like any other skill. You have to just write. You have to just do it. And there are times when you're going to sit down and try to write songs, and nothing's going to happen, and that's fine. And then you just move on. Spend 2-3 hours max writing a song. If you didn't come up with anything, you didn't. You just move on and do it again the next time. But if you keep going past the 3-hour mark from what, and I found this to be true, then you start second guessing everything, and then you end up with nothing. So you're better off to just, if you have a good idea, and if you have a melody, and you need to write a bridge, forget about the lyrics. Just put nonsense. It doesn't matter. Just put gobbledygook in there until you until you have the structure and core of the song, and finish that, and try to get that finished as quickly as possible. If you've started on it and you're like halfway there, a little over halfway there, just finish it. And then right, and don't censor yourself. Yeah, don't censor yourself. Just write, and then if you've got it finished, then you're good. And don't worry about the words. You can always add the words later. And the Because if you say, okay, well, I've got like a part of this song done, I'm going to come back to it later. You usually never do. You end up moving on to something else, and then you have all these bits of different songs, but nothing's done. And I've run into that myself, and I have a ton of like bits of songs that I've never gone back to and never finished. Right. Even if it's nothing, you just keep writing and you do it for a certain period of time, and just the next time you'll have something, or you might have something, and you might not, but it just depends on what's going to happen. And sometimes you just um my thing is just trying to come up with um a fun groove, an interesting melody. Sometimes if I'll come up with a riff to it right off the bat. If not, I'll just wait until the core of the song is done and then add a riff to it later, which you can always do as well. As far as solos go, and that's just the main riff of the song. So I'm trying to think of so I wrote a 2-beat song a while ago called Way Out West, and it was a little unconventional as far as the progression goes, because I didn't really worry about, oh, it's got to follow this specific progression. I just wrote the lyrics, wrote the melody, and said, okay, well, then fit the chords to it later, which is what you do. And then it has this well, thank you. I appreciate that. The Artist's Way. Yep. Oh, I agree. That's everybody that's always ever talked about songwriting ends up saying a lot of the same things. But yeah, I would write. I wrote the core of that song, and I thought it was going to go one direction, and then it ended up going more of a 2-beat country thing. And I wanted to have an opening lick, so I came up with just took me a while to just come up with something really simple, but it's just easy, really not really too much going on there, but it works within the context of the song. And then it's got these little riffs and things. Little banjo roll in there. But as far as the solos go, I usually just wait until the song is done, even completely recorded. The drums and bass are recorded and everything else, and I'll go back. And sometimes I have an idea of what I want, and sometimes I have no clue, especially if it's a 1/4/5 thing. Which, to be fair, I really don't have that many songs original wise that follow a 12-bar blues, because for whatever reason, I just don't want to. I don't want to write that same structure all the time. Sometimes I do. We have a song called 47 Cadillac that the core, the solo is 1/4/5. But I'll just spend time coming up with a solo and write the solo. Sometimes I'll just jam and just improv whatever's coming up, and I'll just run it again and again and again and again, or just practice like a backing track with the same feel, and I'll just play the same progression over and over and over again until I'm happy with little bits of it. And, oh, I like this part, and I like this part, and I like this part, and then combine it all together until I have a working solo that I like. That doesn't happen for every song. Some songs I like to just improv whatever's happening. Like the Taking Chances, the new one that comes is on YouTube. I worked on the solo, but when I play it live, I never play the same solo. It's always different until I get to that first opening. I just kind of whatever. I'm just doing pentatonic, major, minor stuff. And then I throw in the sum of the licks, like going into the next section. I know that's going to lead me there, so I'll always use that. I'll always play that at the same time. But then the bridge or the pre-chorus, I guess, is I always play that the same. And I always do that. I always do the rest of the solo the same. So I'll always play that. Yeah. Right. And that little riff is nonsense. It doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the song. It's just a musical little interlude that's kind of cool in the middle of it. And that came about because we were just jamming one day. It was during one of our rehearsals, and we just like, oh, let's just mess around with something, and we just kind of started playing, and the drummer started doing a beat, and I just started coming up with, I think I did it in a different key. So something like that. And I thought, oh, that might be a cool lick for the song. So that's how the song started. And then I wasn't really too happy with, yeah, it acts as a different kind of a bridge, exactly. And I wasn't really too happy with that as a main riff for the song. It sounded like it needed something more. So I said, well, that's better for the intro, for the main riff of the tune. But I really liked that little section. So he said, well, let's just put it in there. So we just have that little, I said, well, coming right out of the solo, and then it builds back up, you know. That's like a weird, like, it's basically a sharp 9, a B7 sharp 9, or and it works. Yeah, I think so. So what, the like second kind of a bridge? I know he's done that before with various things. Yeah, actually, yeah, now, yeah, I'm sure that's where I get the idea. Or you have a cool little musical idea, and I don't want to lose that. I don't want that to go away. So you just figure out a way to stick it in there somewhere. And you see that a lot, especially in the orchestra stuff. Sometimes the guitar's playing something, sometimes it's not. Oh yeah, Hoodoo Voodoo Doll. They have this on that. In the breakdown after the solo, they have these the horns are playing something, just. And it's just a musical interlude. Doesn't even follow the same form of what's come before it. And you hear that a lot in big band stuff anyway. And it doesn't matter. It's your own songs. You can do whatever you want. Maybe I'd have to come a zero sum groove. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with the tune, but I can take a listen to it. Ah, there we go. I will. Copy it down. Cool. I'll take a listen. See if I can see if that'll work. I can't play anything on the stream because I don't know whether or not it's gonna slam me for copyright. Like I said, I even copyrighted myself the first stream as I wasn't even thinking about it. Oh, I know. I know the feeling, especially when I don't. I mean, other than playing live, once I'm rehearsed, if I know I'm good on the song, I don't mind doing it. But I don't like to do stuff I'm not comfortable with live. And songwriting, I really like to be isolated away from other people, and I don't want. It's something you do on your own. You know, it's not something you do really in the at least for me. I mean, some people can do that. They can just write in front of other people, but uh, and come up with whatever. And I guess it depends on who you're, who you're around and stuff like that. Rockin' Robin. Um, yeah, I mean that's. I mean, it's a great tune. It's got a great feel to it. Pretty much just a 1-4-5 anyway. But it's a flute solo, right? Yeah. In G. Yeah. I'd have to. It's been a while since I've heard a lot of these tunes. Um, stand in for something. Yeah. Well, that's cool. You can play some. It's always fun to play gigs. I mean, I like playing. I usually do all the. I'm in the live show, or at least on what I was able to put on YouTube. Um, the I do all the singing too, so it's nice once in a while to play a gig like today, where I did sing some, but mostly I was just backing up the rest of the band and backing up another singer. It's nice to just kind of not have to worry about singing, and I can just focus on playing. No gig tomorrow. I have a band rehearsal, so we're going over some of the original tunes and a couple of new covers that we want to throw in. We just like to keep it fresh. You know, you play the same tune, same set list at the same club for a couple of months, and it's like, okay, even though there's new people all the time, um, I don't want to get bored. I don't want the staff to get bored. I always want to keep it fresh and interesting, especially for us. Um, and I'll try to see like, okay, well, is this song going over versus this song? If I really like the song, I'm going to do it anyway. But if most of the songs I'm relatively indifferent to, other than the originals I want to do, but if a song's not really going over compared to something else, then I'll probably drop it, or we put it on an alt list, so we have our main set list, and anything that's not on the main set list gets put onto an alt list that is still there, and we can kind of pick from if we need extra tunes to kind of fill in the night. Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, it kind of happened out of, necessity and wanting to do it, wanting to be able to play live and sing, and I don't have to hire a singer, right? I mean, I'm not the greatest, far away from the greatest singer in the world, but I can do okay enough to get through the gigs and have fun with it, and of course be able to write original material and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, singing and playing. The thing for singing and playing at the same time, I don't know. I just do it so much. with a guitar, it's not as not that difficult. Playing bass and singing at the same time, that took a bit. That took a little bit of time. I kind of had to work on that a little bit, but I got used to it. Um, you just kind of get into muscle memory. You're doing a bass line like that. I mean, you're doing that on guitar anyway. So. There are still a couple of little riffs and things that I know where I can't sing and play at the same time, and places where I can, that I know, like, okay, that has to take a little bit of work. Um, uh, Part of it is having the the rhythm. You got the downbeat, you got the solid. You know where the downbeat is. You know where the upbeat is. Um, you can follow it. Starting off just playing chords and singing, especially something like so it's pretty steady, straight ahead. And I don't know, for me, I know where the feel of it is, and I try to find out where's the rhythm of the vocal and how is it matching the guitar, and where is it coming together. Um, Drums and singing, uh, uh, I've never been able to do it. I've never tried, to be honest with you. Um, it's not easy. I mean, I can't imagine it being easy. I mean, I see, oh, like Ringo playing just, and he's just, playing all those quarter notes, those eighth notes, and he's still able to sing. It's pretty incredible. Um, I mean, some backup vocals, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that sort of thing looks really tough in general. Just to get drummers to be able to play that those quarter notes, or like if a song like a George Jones tune, which is the Beatles song "What Goes On." You listen to that hi hat, it's and keeping that up. That's hard. That's hard to do. Um, and then of course getting people and then the shuffle version or the swing version. So you're getting a dot 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 dot. You can hear, people will do quarter note, eighth note, quarter note, eighth note, dot 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 dot. But to do every one like pop 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 pop, that's harder, and that's less. I have found that less common. I see drummers do that a little bit less often than on average. But and it's a great feel. And all of those little things can help tighten the song up live. Levon Helm, Don Henley, yeah. Who is it? I mean, they see like some of the crazy finger picking stuff. I mean, even when like Tommy Emmanuel does some of the few songs that he does where he sings, and he's playing all that crazy finger picking stuff while he's singing. It's nuts. But playing drums and singing. Phil Collins. All right. Ah, my fingers are able to. The only advantage I know, one thing I notice about playing a lot is obviously you get better, you just get more fluid. It just becomes more comfortable in general. And I'm always happy with myself, like the next, if I play all the time, and then you just everything just feels a lot more loose and fluid, especially if you play live, because you have to be on. There's no leeway of, like, when you're playing just for yourself, then and unless you play to a backing track or you're playing to a metronome or something, you can there's a lot of leeway there. When you have to play with drums and you have to play at a certain volume and you do that enough, it can be taxing, but you do that enough and everything just becomes so much more fluid, and my picking just gets more accurate, and everything else just is much easier. Like anything else, just the more you do it. But then you'll hit that, and then if I stop for a week or a couple of, even just 3 days, it's like, oh, I feel like I'm starting all over again. Yeah, good idea. I mean, that's why I have these guitars on the wall now. You used to just stay in the case, and of course I wouldn't pick it up very often, and I'd go a week or two, and ugh, and then I'd be like, oh God, so rusty. But um, having it when if I'm sitting here just doing work on the guitar or work on the computer or something, um, just grab the guitar down and just mess around with the same riffs. I always end up going my little go-to practice riffs. I'll always practice. This one is a good one for a practice scale. Back down. And that is a great that's mostly for the picking part of it, than the fretting hand. And the three main forms of the major scale. Right? If you don't get a chance to play very often, you just want to, keep your fingers stretched, running those, and you can do that same kind of back and forth pattern, that 1, 2, 3, back to the root. Right. Oh. I'll stop at Dorian. That just doing that will help your keep your dexterity up and your picking technique. And I have a couple of other little runs. I'll play this song Tico Tico. I played that a little bit on stream before, and it has a little run in there where it goes. So I'll make sure I run that. Whatever. That's a good one. Let's see what other little practice things I do. Trying to. Of course, I'll always do the finger picking thing. I just love that sound in general. See if there's anything else. Oh, you can use this in a song. It's mostly used in 2-beat stuff, but it's very good to practice economy picking and just picking in general. It's whatever key, if you're in it's just all 4 notes, but you just start on the major 7th. you're starting like a finger, a fret down from the root note. So if you're in C, you just start down here, and you just go every fret. 2, 3, 4. Up the string, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's an exercise, but if you get that up to speed, then you can use that, you know, and that helps. Then you go down, you know, use economy picking. So and you always go down the next string. So you're never like, it's not alternate picking where it's always back up and down, back and forth. Just say yeah. That was one thing that I would do all the time, that I try to do. Go back down. Oh yeah, there's the. I used to do this one. I don't really do it too much anymore, but I forget what it's. Like a little box shape. And you just kind of practice that. And you can throw it in a riff there too. It kind of creates a nice little effect. Different tunings? Not too much. I mean, I've played Dadgad a couple of times. I actually have. I did a video of. I have to go. I never put it together. I never finished editing just the angles of me playing just a. Strawberry Fields Forever, but in an open Dadgad tuning, was a Lawrence Juber arrangement, and so I've that one. There's a couple other Beatles type, a couple other Beatles songs in like Dadgad. I've like messed around with it in that regard. Like Zeppelin, Black Mountain Side. I remember learning that years ago. That's pretty much the only. I'll do open tunings like for slide. If I'm gonna play a slide solo on a song, I can open tune. Not every tune. That new tune, Sinnerman, that's still mixing. Almost done with it. I just have to a couple little. Just have to get to it, and I want to try to before I release it. I want to mix at least one, maybe two more songs. That way, I can release them relatively close together. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I don't really know any other. I mean, I know there are many other alternate tunings, but Dadgad's the only one I've ever really messed around with too much. Mostly on acoustic guitar. I don't think I've ever done anything on the electric other than like open G, open E, for slide. And I'm not a great slide player. I can do it, but it takes. I have to really practice the solo, and it's something that I've wanted to do. You know, take some time and really get a little better at it. But my action on my guitars are also really low, so I don't know to really get the control to be able to play without. It could be the sound through my amplifier too. I don't know. I've always played at home. I've never really tried to do it live. I'm a little afraid to try to do it live, but maybe one day. And I always feel stuck. Like you got this thing on your hand. I don't even know if I have. I don't know what happened to it. And then it's like, okay, well, what do I do with this thing? And I've found that you can actually take it. Oh, here it is. Right here. I'm not a great slide player, so cover your ears. But you can always use the Bigsby to kind of fake that. See how it's kind of, the string action is so low. then you're stuck. You got this thing, and then it's on your ring finger. I guess you could put it on your small. And you got to take it off, and you got to put it somewhere else. And yeah, the beer bottle thing. I should try the Danny Gatton thing. I've never really tried that. Maybe once. Again, and then I guess I could take a sip of it. But the problem always comes in with the singing, right? It's like to time it like, okay, well, what do I do with this? And, I don't really have a song where I'm just playing just slide and singing over that. But you could take it and just put it over here. You can put it on the Bigsby like that. If you want. Another thing that works really well if instead of a glass slide is a play through a towel, yeah. Is a socket. Like a long they're a little hevier, and you can get the weight, because I tried to play with like one of those brass slides before. I did see something cool. I forget where it was. Must have been on YouTube, where it was just a little bit of a ring. It was just a ring size slide, and you were able to still play, and it was just up here on the tip of the ring finger, and then they could just get individual strings, maybe two. Of course, if you want to do the chord thing, it's you couldn't do that, but that sounded pretty. That sounds maybe try something like that. But I don't really have too many tunes where I need it. Maybe one or two songs. Maybe, well, we do a version of this song called Wildcat Tamer, and it would be kind of cool on something like that. I usually use tremolo for something like that. And then yeah. Yeah, I haven't really been I've slacked on my slide, like the finger tapping stuff too. But yeah, mostly just a flat picker and finger picker. And then the chord stuff, chord melodies. I've always been a big fan of chord melodies. Being able to fill out a solo in a section of a tune where you need that little bit of extra space filled, especially with a trio. You gotta have you playing individual notes. A lot of it depends on the sound of your guitar too. It's like if some guitars and amps are just sound really thin, and it just doesn't fill out the sound of the band. And like I've mentioned this before too, how the drummer is playing as well. So if you're going to a solo, if you're in a trio, it's not always necessary, but it's usually a pretty good idea to go to a ride cymbal while the solo is going on, so it fills in that extra space. Otherwise, it can sound kind of dead. I remember when I first started playing in trios, as a trio, I would think I would be missing that electric or the acoustic rhythm, and that's where the finger picking stuff comes in handy too, because it fills in. You're kind of playing lead lines, but you're also playing melodies, and then you can play a little comping. And when you're singing, it doesn't matter too much. But when you go into a solo, if you're playing a rhythm while you're singing, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's gone, and then. But if the drummer switches and goes to a ride, and the bass is clicking, you already got enough stuff going on. It works great for the rockabilly stuff. Anyway, at least for the rockabilly stuff. Sometimes I notice it a little bit in the surf stuff, so I have to kind of fill in some of the stuff with chord melody, as opposed to just playing the individual notes. Not always. It just depends on the tune, but or if we've taken an instrumental, we do this instrumental of Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow? But instead of just playing the notes like that, I do a little melody. And I'll, just fill it in a little bit. And then I'll go an octave higher. We just started doing that again recently. So it's pretty good. Kind of a curveball, I think, but people seem to like it. All right. Well, this was a good stream. This was pretty nice. Thank you guys for joining in. Good to see both you guys again. Richard, Gizmodus. Glad you guys could make it. I think I am going to sign off here. Kind of chill out for the rest of the evening. I got a couple things I got to go over for tomorrow for rehearsal, and then after 4 gigs right in a row, just kind of course, I always miss you, Gizmodus. No, happy to have you guys. Seriously, it really it's nice to have chat back and forth, and of course this is always fun for me to do. It keeps something on the channel, even if I can't, especially if I can't get to the videos, like I haven't been able to, and keeps the channel in the algorithm, so to speak. So, I appreciate it. We'll do it again. Let's see, next week's schedule. As of right now, Marshall Crenshaw. Okay. Let me write that down. Every time, if anybody gives me a suggestion, I always write it down. It may take me a little while to get to it, but if I don't write it down, I will forget, because I can memorize music. I'm not really good at memorizing much else. It depends on the song too. If it's like, we started doing this instrumental version of Putting on the Ritz, and I still struggle to remember the chord progression in the bridge. The verse is easy. That's easy. Some of the other, I forget what it is. Let's see it. Is it a 6 or? I think it's a minor 6. I'd have to go back. I can't remember what it is. But anyway, it's like a 2-6-5-1, and it jumps around quite a bit on the bridge. We did this Calvin Booz song, Symphony B, and it's got quite a bit of changes to it. A flat, great guitar key. Just kidding. That's pretty standard. Then it goes to this bridge where it's kind of a descending thing. It gets, stuff like that gets really complicated. It takes a while to commit something like that to memory, but yeah, I can do it. But anyway, yeah, I will. I'll check that out, Marshall Crenshaw. And yeah, let's look at this calendar for next week. where are we? Okay. So next week, actually have to change that on the calendar. So it will be 3 o'clock next week because I do have a gig that I'll have to get over to. I got to leave here by around 4 to get there by 5. It takes about an hour, depending on it's Jazz Fest weekend too, so it's going to be busy. So I'll have to get down there around like 5ish, and gigs from 6 to 9. So, and then I'm probably going to have to change a couple of them coming up. But like I said, you can always check it out. It's a Google Calendar. I'll always keep that updated, and I'll always post for it to make sure that if anything changes. Alrighty, well, and I'm gonna make some changes too to the format of the live stream as well. Still gonna chat and do all of that stuff too, but I want to try to have some kind of a structure to it as well, in case just in case I have to do like hey, it's only gonna be for an hour or whatever, and have a little some um, instructional things going on, and then talk about a specific song, and then also talk about a specific, theory thing, and then of course any kind of questions and thing we want to talk about, whatever's on my mind at the time. Yeah, no big deal. I can't play Sleepwalk anymore. I got copyrighted for that. All right. Anyway, thank you guys again, and until next time. Yeah. Until next time, keep rocking. I will see you guys later. Have a good one.